Hi everyone, so today we are talking all about how real life style is very different from some of the things that we see on Instagram and YouTube. And this has been on my mind a lot recently as a stylist myself, as an image consultant, because I do feel like as an image consultant who's also on YouTube, I have a bit of a responsibility to discuss this and to bring this to light. And so it may be obvious to some people, but to some people it may not be. All of those sort of oversized basics, capsule wardrobe kinds of looks in neutrals. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. They're very much, they're very aesthetic. They look amazing. And the reason why I'm not including a photo here is actually because I don't want to single anyone out, because there are so many people who dress in this way on YouTube who are influencers. And I have nothing against them. I think that they look stunning. And I love those kinds of looks. I love those looks that are the tonal outfits. I love the neutrals. I love the slightly oversized, high quality basics that are accessorized. I love all of that. At the same time, I think it's a little bit unrealistic sometimes for some people, or for a lot of people in their everyday lives, people who are just, you and me, regular people, just going about our lives. You don't actually see anyone dressing like that in real life. And so if you do dress like that, it can look very aesthetic and very good, but it can also be a little bit disconnected from your everyday life. And so the kinds of style tips that you may receive can be a little bit disconnected from your actual life, the things that you actually buy, the places you actually go, the people you actually see, the friends you actually see, etc., etc. So I thought I would get more into the details of this topic and chat about it with you guys. So here are the streets of New York, and you can see this lady in the green dress. She just was wearing something completely normal. It's not a tonal outfit, even though she looked pretty stylish and she looked really great and she looked modern. I could also see someone, I lived in New York City, and I could see someone having worn that. When did I live there? 7 years ago. I could see someone wearing something like that 10 years ago. It really wasn't something that is consistent with the kinds of things that we see on Instagram and on YouTube. And I think that's important to keep in mind, because it's like, you don't want to have an unrealistic expectation of how you're going to dress day to day. And sometimes you don't want to feel like you're not coming up to a certain standard. If you watch too much of this content, you may start to feel like something is wrong with my wardrobe. Whenever I dress like this, like an Instagrammer or like a style influencer, I don't feel quite right. Something doesn't look right about it, or, I just feel out of place. Like sometimes it can be that you feel too dressed up. And the other thing I noticed, and I watched a lot of these New York City walking tour videos, and I'd recommend you do the same thing if you are kind of struggling with this. And when you look around, it's actually so interesting, because the only things that I see that are different from, let's say, 10 years ago are that people are not wearing skinny jeans. And maybe people are doing center parts instead of side parts. It's not so much that people are wearing all of these like tonal outfits and neutrals, even though those are so aesthetic and so wonderful. And again, I like them. It's just that people are not wearing that. And where all of this comes in is, you have to be thinking about your real life and your real style and the real people you interact with, like the people in your actual life. And you may be friends with people who are very aesthetic, and they may actually also wear these kinds of like beautiful tonal outfits, the high quality basics, etc. They may actually look like this, and I think that's amazing. And so if you feel like those kinds of looks connect with you, then you should definitely wear them. And I really like that kind of diversity, people having all kinds of styles. And that's a part of why I like big cities, is because there's so much diversity in style, and you can really wear anything and nobody bats an eyelash. Yeah, but the thing with this kind of like certain aesthetic that I'm talking about is that it's actually very uncommon in real life. It's incredibly uncommon to see someone wearing something like that in your everyday life, in the street, at work, etc. So here is the next clip, and this is a clip of New York City nightlife. And, you know, look at me and tell me something. If you are in your 30s, just forget about everyone else, just look at me, okay? Tell me that this is not the type of stuff that everybody was wearing 10 years ago, pretty much, when they were going out. I mean, it looks like plan A is still the same. You just show a ton of skin, and then plan A.1 is like you show a ton of skin and you also wear very tight things. And sometimes you wear heels that you can walk in, preferably for some amount of time. That's basically plan A, B, C, and D. And that appears to still be plan A, B, C, and D. So even young women who are very much on trend, you know, you would see 20-year-olds as being very on trend, very much following the most recent, you know, they're certainly not out of date, right? And they're still wearing the same kind of stuff, more or less, that we were kind of wearing 10 years ago. So things have not changed terribly. Things have not changed that much. And I think Instagram and YouTube would have you believe that that things have changed. But what I do see has changed is that, of course, there are no skinny jeans, and things can sometimes be a bit more casual. Of course, the clip that I showed was of nightlife, so people are not dressed that casually, but in general, I think that things have not really changed that much, and people are still kind of wearing like just regular things that people have been wearing for quite some time. There have been small changes, but nothing so drastic like YouTube or Instagram would have you believe. And so I wanted to talk about this disconnect between what we see in online media and what we see in real life, because I feel like it may be, you know, now that people are online more and more, and people are, you know, we all talk about how people are scrolling more and more. A lot of people are working from home. So you may not have as much of a connection to what other people are maybe wearing, or just even what's going on in the world aside from what you see on your screen. And that can be some people's experience, although most people are still not working from home. Most people are out and about in public, etc. I was thinking to talk to the people who maybe are and who feel like increasingly disconnected, like their life is increasingly disconnected from the aesthetics of like YouTube and Instagram. And the reason for that is because think about your life, like your work, a lot of people are working from home. So you're really not dressing up at all. And increasingly, it's become more and more socially acceptable, which I think is a great thing, to just wear more casual things if you feel like wearing more casual things, to just go to the grocery store. Sometimes I see people in slippers at the grocery store, and I'm the type of person, I don't really care. I know some people and some image consultants and some stylists will say, oh, this is horrible, you know, this is just the end of the world, this is the end of style. I just don't think so. I think that things are becoming more casual in society, and people have more freedom to wear what they want to wear, and I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing to have more options for what you're going to wear. So things are getting more casual, things are getting more tolerant in terms of style in the real world. People are just way more tolerant of just people wearing slippers, people wearing whatever it is that they feel comfortable in, whatever it is that they want to wear. And that's a good thing. And you know, I realized that this is a generational thing. And I was talking with my husband about this, and he mentioned that the generations are just becoming more and more casual. And I couldn't agree more. Once he told me that, I was like, wow, that's so true. Because I don't know if you guys ever saw that photo of the man who like appears to be a time traveler. And the photo, I believe, is from 1941. And he just looks like a time traveler. And it was going around the internet for a while. It was a pretty viral photo, I would say. And the thing with that photo is that if you look at how the guy's dressed, he's dressed so much more casually than everyone around him. He's wearing a sweatshirt and a t-shirt, and everybody else is wearing like a button-down shirt or whatever it is that they're wearing. And that's why he looks like a time traveler, is because he just looks too casual. There's also other stuff, like he had these sunglasses that looked more modern. He had a camera that looked more modern, but it turns out that he's not a time traveler. You know, it was fact checked, and he was just wearing stuff that was more casual. So as the generations pass, fashion is becoming more and more casual. And I believe it's becoming more and more casual in hopefully a few different ways. Like, hopefully it's becoming more casual in terms of just kind of being able, especially in the bigger cities, you can just kind of wear whatever you want and it's fine. You can wear slippers, you can wear a cocktail dress, you can wear whatever, you can be dressed up, you can be dressed down, and there's that flexibility. And that's amazing. I mean, I used to love, love, love living in New York for that reason. In New York City, you can wear anything you want and nobody will look at you. If you live, I have had the luxury of moving somewhere closer to nature. And so I don't live in New York City anymore. But if you live in a smaller town, if you live in a more rural area, of course, you can't really wear a cocktail dress to the grocery store. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If you've ever lived in areas that are more remote, like where I live now, you'll know what I mean. And so, not to go off on a tangent or anything, but the thing is that things are overall becoming more casual and they're becoming more tolerant. They're becoming more tolerant in the cities for sure. And I hope that trend moves to other areas of the world and other areas of the US, that things will become more tolerant. Like, you can just wear whatever, and nobody cares what you wear. That would be amazing, because that would mean that anybody can just express their personal style however they feel like, and they're not going to be afraid of judgment from others, or, why is this person wearing this or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the biggest trend is that the biggest long scale trend is actually that things are becoming more casual. So if you think about that photo that I just discussed, that is more about that so-called time traveler, or if you even think about the baby boomers and how oftentimes baby boomers are wearing slacks, they're wearing things that are a bit more formal, and they often wear trousers, like things like that. Like, even my dad is a baby boomer. He always wears, I guess you would call them slacks or trousers or whatever. He doesn't wear sweatpants. I don't even think he owns any sweatpants. I'm not sure. I've never seen him in sweatpants, Whereas people who are in my generation, I'm a millennial, sometimes, they often wear sweatpants. They often will wear at least jeans. I mean, my dad, I think he has like one or two pairs of jeans. I often don't even see him in jeans. And of course, he's a bit more formal maybe than the average baby boomer, but baby boomers in general, they dress more formally. And in the 1940s, things were even more formal. Everybody was wearing, very formal attire. And then, of course, if you go back to the 1910s or the 1900s, or is that what you would call it? The 1900s or the late 1800s, people were obviously way more dressed up. I mean, now we're talking about, in the 1800s, we're talking about corsets and frilly dresses and all this stuff for women. So that's like stuff that you'd wear to your own wedding. Now people were wearing every day sometimes, depending on the wedding dress and depending on the time, depending on the person in that time period. Of course, not everybody could afford to or was wearing things that were that fancy, but it was more socially acceptable. There's no question there. It was actually socially unacceptable to wear things like, practically pajamas outside. I think you can kind of see where I'm going with this. And that trend has continued. Things have become more casual. Even in the past 10, 20 years, things have become more casual. So that's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing that hopefully there's also more flexibility in the bigger cities for people to kind of just have whatever style they want. And yeah, that casualness I think is a good thing. And I think that thinking about more casual outfits that express your style can be a way where you can make your style more wearable. And that can be so nice to kind of know, because sometimes it can be difficult to pinpoint, like, why is it that my style is not that wearable? Sometimes you may really enjoy things that are pretty dressed up, and you look in the mirror and you feel like you look amazing and you really like this outfit, but then when you go to wherever you're going, you feel like you're overdressed or you feel awkward, even though at home you really enjoyed that outfit. And I think that that's, usually it tends to be a problem of casualness, like you're not dressed casually enough. And that's something to keep in mind. I think when you know, if you consistently have that experience, when you know what causes that experience, that it's probably casualness. Just from my experience, I'm telling you, it's probably casualness. Maybe it's not always, it's not like that for everyone. You know, I don't know I'm talking to you, but I don't exactly know you, right? I don't exactly know you specifically. So this video is for a public audience. I don't know. But I've just seen that a lot, that when people feel out of place in an outfit, it's often because it's not casual enough. And knowing that, you may be able to change your outfits in a way that is still authentic to you, but keeping that in mind and like being able to pinpoint, oh yeah, I probably need to make this outfit more casual so that when I arrive, I also feel like I'm myself. I also feel like I'm comfortable there, you see? And so making things more casual is a great idea, even for things like office outfits, even for things like anything really, even for going to a restaurant or something. If you enjoy dressing up and if you enjoy building outfits, you may find that you gravitate toward more formal pieces. If you do tend to have that tendency, then you may find that it's actually useful to think about making it more casual very consciously, and almost feeling like, wow, this is too casual at home. And then when you actually leave the house, you'll realize, oh, this is definitely not too casual. Like, I actually feel comfortable in this. Because that's the thing, is that I believe that style is about communication, and communication can be like a two-way street, you see? And so even though you want to wear what you love, you want to wear what you feel comfortable in, what makes you feel beautiful, at the same time, you also want to wear something that when you feel awkward in your outfit, like you feel great at home and then you go outside and you feel awkward in it. Sometimes that's not always a matter of confidence, although sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a matter of people they feel like, oh, I'm not actually communicating the right thing. That can sometimes be what it is. Well, I didn't actually mean to look this way. And so some of that discomfort can come from that. It's not always that you need to work on your confidence or something. You may be perfectly fine in your confidence, and you may be really reading the room correctly. You may be reading the room accurately, that, oh, I didn't really come across like how I wanted to. So this is what, because I'm an image consultant, this is what I think about. Like, are you coming across the way that you want to come across? And that's sort of the question. And that's also the question that I think about in all kinds of different ways. The other stuff on my channel, I talk a lot about the lines of the body and the silhouettes and the colors and things like that. And that's what I do with my clients, is I do stuff like that with them, just what kinds of outfits are flattering on them, how certain things will look on them, and different things look different on different people. The same piece of clothing can come across completely differently depending on what you look like. And so that's why, when you go shopping with your friends or something, or when you used to go shopping with your friends before you shopped online for clothing, you would see that something would look one way on one person and another way on another person. So that's what I do. That's what I do for a living. That's what I try to figure out for my clients, is what looks a certain way on you, etc., etc. So that's the thing, is that people are going to come across differently, and with your style, you sort of communicate. And that's why style is so personal. It's not just the clothing that you wear, it's very personal, and it's a way for you to express yourself. It's a way for you to be seen. And when you go in public, you want to feel comfortable because your style says something about you. And I think you know that it says something about you to other people, and you want for people to understand you correctly, and you want to be understood, right? And so you kind of want that interaction, that kind of unspoken communication that comes through style. And so anyway, I wanted to talk about this disconnect between online style versus real life style, and what real life style actually means. What real life style is it's connecting with other people in a way, is what real life style is. And it's about a lot of things, how you come across, etc., how, what your authentic expression is, and everything like that. It's not always about, it's not always about following trends or anything like that. And I think that everybody agrees on that, that personal style is really not about trends. And I really enjoy that about a lot of even the YouTubers or the Instagrammers who would even do this kind of like very aesthetic capsule wardrobe stuff. They often are communicating to everybody that trends come and go, but you're going to have your own personal style, your own wardrobe and things like that. So I do enjoy that message that a lot of people in the style community are sending. So I think that's a great message to send. Okay, so I think I'll stop talking for now. This has been such a long video. Thank you for staying all the way to the end and joining me all the way to the end of this discussion. Let me know your thoughts about your personal style and when you felt most like yourself. Leave me a comment and telling me, when did you feel most like yourself and why do you think that was when it came to your style? And if you're interested in working with me, I offer services through my website, and I'll leave a link to those down below. You can find all of the information in the links I leave down below. And I think that's it. It goes without saying, if you like this kind of stuff, I have a ton of videos on my channel, so you can take a look around and see what else you enjoy. And that's it. I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.